and welcome to National Focus. I'm Aliyah Martin. In the headlines, Dominica and Cuba to strengthen cooperation in agriculture. The French-Dominican Joint Security Commission to further partnership between Dominica and the French territories. And local authorities called upon to take the lead in climate resilience. The details of the headline stories and more when we return.
I love the freedom when I'm out there. Simply put, the worries from shore, none of that out there. And it's my daily bread. I learned it from my dad. My dad is one of the senior guys here who catch the biggest fish around here. And he's top with the red snappers. It's a family thing. I'm the only one fishing right now in the family. Just keeping it going. I enjoy bringing them up, man. Sometimes you have a yellowfin tuna, 400 pounds. Man, let me tell you, that's just a joy out there. I enjoy going out there and just holding the big fish. I don't lift weights, I lift fish. The morning of my fishing trip, I would get up, make a little spiced tea. Then I come down here. I have my GPS, which most fishermen are supposed to have that. Normally I prepare the day before, because whenever you're going out there, you must have ice. Ice is a must for preservation of the fish. So I always make sure I have everything the day before. My fish represents me, and I bring good quality fish ashore simply because the restaurants themselves, they have to show a quality product. Tourism and agriculture go hand in hand. That's what I think. We're all connected. It's like a big machine, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. My name is Brandon Carlisle, and tourism is my business.
Welcome back. A delegation from the Republic of Cuba is conducting a technical cooperation mission to Dominica from April 25 to May 5, 2023. The goal is to undertake assessments of the island's agricultural sector and provide technical advice. The delegation is led by Cuba's Deputy Minister for Agriculture, Saloy Martinez Diosnel, who is accompanied by 3 technical specialists from Cuba's Ministry of Agriculture. The governments of Dominica and the Republic of Cuba on August 22, 2022, entered a 5-year Memorandum of Understanding MOU to facilitate consultation and coordination for strengthening technical cooperation on agriculture between both countries. The MOU was signed following discussions held during an official visit to Cuba led by Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit in April 2022. While here, the specialists are meeting with representatives of technical missions, including the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, ICA, the Climate Resilience Execution Agency for Dominica, CRED, and the SAC Agricultural Center. The technical mission aligns with the government of Dominica's goal to increase the sector's contribution to gross domestic product, GDP, to $700 million by 2030, and establish networks and forge alliances among multiple state producers, processors, fishers, aggregators, and bilateral partners to strategically plan, redesign, and execute a transformative agenda for optimal performance in the agricultural sector. Over the past decade, the Republic of Cuba has provided direct support to the Commonwealth of Dominica, particularly in the education and health sectors, along with training of agricultural technicians in the field of veterinary medicine, agronomy, and economics. Meanwhile, Dominica and Cuba have signed a letter of intent to enhance the agricultural sectors and strengthen bilateral relations in agriculture. Cuba's Deputy Minister for Agriculture, GIS NATIONAL, is pleased with the proposal for technical cooperation between Dominica and Cuba and says Cuba is happy to share their gains and aid Dominica in their quest to achieve resilience in the agricultural sector.
Cuba and Dominica, being members of the Caribbean, have proposed the collaboration of bilateral relations in agriculture, which includes various areas of fisheries and agriculture. With signing of this letter of intention, Cuba is ratifying its promise to work along with its partners in the region, and it allows us to share our modest gains in agriculture and fisheries. And it also allows Cuba to be part of Dominica's trust to become resilient.
This partnership has emphasized government's commitment to realize their goal of a $700 million contribution of agriculture to Dominica's gross domestic product. The fifth session of the French-Dominican Joint Security Commission was held in Dominica on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 at the State House Conference Center. Participants interacted on matters related to training, conduct of joint actions, immigration and the exchange of information, provisions of technical and material means for investigation, and judicial cooperation. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, Attorney General Honorable Levi Peter, Minister for National Security and Legal Affairs Honorable Raven Blackmore, Commissioner of Police Daniel Caban, and other senior officials of the Dominica Commonwealth Police Force attended the meeting. The French delegation includes Honorable Xavier Lefort, Prefect of Guadeloupe, His Excellency Francis Etienne, Ambassador of France to the Commonwealth of Dominica, General Vincent Lamballe, Commander of the French Gendarmerie in Guadeloupe, General William Vaquette, Commander of the French Gendarmerie in Martinique, and Mr. Eric Morel, Attorney General of Guadeloupe, among other officials. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs, Ms. Joanne Komodo, says the main objective of the meeting is to further the partnership between Dominica and the French territories on critical issues facing in both countries.
The meeting is to further Dominica's cooperation with the French on certain critical areas of national security. These meetings have been going on for a while. I believe that they began in 2005. So this is not a new idea, this is a legacy thing that we're trying to continue. The last meeting was held in 2016, and obviously we were not able to continue because, we had Maria, we had COVID, etc. But now we're back on track. It's basically to strengthen our areas in mutual legal agreements, in areas of training, joint cooperation, joint judicial cooperation in particular is big on the table, because we do need to talk properly and come up with solid agreements on areas like extradition, areas, as I say, in judicial cooperation. We are also talking about better training. How can they assist us? What kind of training would they like to assist us with? What kind of training can we perhaps assist them with? And basically to talk about things around that area.
Ms. Komodo explained that based on commitment made during a meeting in 2016, it is important to now solidify the plans that have been agreed upon.
Irregular migration is something that is plaguing the region now. It actually came up in our last OECS meeting that we had in this very room at the State House with the OECS partners, and now we're having it with the French. So the idea of illegal or irregular migration is something that has been plaguing our country, and so it's very important for us to discuss. The majority of the people moving back and forth between the French territories are there for legal reasons, but as technology advances, so does criminality. And so it is very important for us to discuss, what kind of technologies can we exchange? What kind of sharing methods can we come up with? How can our border professionals correspond with each other better? And how can we do even interoperability of processes?
Minister for Local Government, Honorable Greta Roberts, has called on local authorities to take the lead in responding and managing to natural disasters. In an address to mark the opening of Local Government Month, observed annually in May, Minister Roberts stated that communities must have the ability to respond to emergencies in a prompt and efficient manner.
It means we will forever need volunteers who are trained and ready to serve in times of crisis. While critical services for disaster management is at a national level, local government must lead the way to ensure that communities are well served by a cadre of trained persons to be part of a community disaster management committee. It is the responsibility of these committees, working with the councils and other agencies such as CREED, to develop community disaster plans and to ensure that the necessary mechanisms are put in place to deal with any emergency or disaster. Not only should these disaster plans be developed, but they should be reviewed on a regular basis to ensure that the information is relevant and current.
The Department of Local Government has worked closely with the Climate Resilience Execution Agency, CREED, on an initiative referred to as the Community Emergency Readiness Initiative.
This initiative will seek to develop community disaster management committees, disaster management plans for all communities, and the requisite equipment and supplies, including food, water, and backup power, to ensure that the communities can respond independently for at least 15 days after a major event or disaster. This initiative can only be successful if it is a collective effort in building resilience at the community level.
Local Government Month 2023 is being observed under the theme, A More Resilient Local Government That Delivers Quality Service. Minister Roberts stated that in order to build community resilience, councils will be expected to be more involved in disaster risk management.
Councils are well placed in communities to facilitate a number of services to the most vulnerable. That paradigm shift will include retraining, building of capacity, and ensuring that there are new programs that reach the most vulnerable. We must be mindful of social vulnerability and ensure that people are empowered to cater for themselves and their families, and councils can play an important role in the improvement of the quality of life of the most vulnerable.
Meanwhile, a number of activities are on the calendar for Local Government Month. One of the primary objectives of the activities will be health and wellness, as non-communicable diseases remain a pressing issue in Dominica.
And those activities include a sports day. We are all aware of the challenges in Dominica as it relates to non-communicable diseases, and so we will be converging on the juvenile playing field for a sports day. We will be engaging in physical activities in an effort to have fun and to build cohesion among councillors, but importantly as well is the fight against non-communicable diseases in Dominica. We also have our annual national climate resilient consultation for local authorities. Of course, we clearly recognize the role that local government plays in building resilience at the community level, and so we'll be looking at the efforts at building resilience at the community level. At this consultation, we'll have several presentations by CREED and other key partners as it relates to the role that councils play in building resilience at the community level.
Mr. Tuse says the Local Government Commission recognizes the significance of giving back to the communities.
Recognizing people for the efforts that they've put in their communities and the development of the communities, and so we'll be having an award ceremony. We'll be recognizing a number of local government practitioners for their invaluable contribution to local and community development, and that in itself will serve as a platform to recognize the efforts that those individuals have played in building their communities. We also have a hike, because we continue with ensuring that people be physically fit, and so we'll hiking one of the trails to ensure that we continue with keeping fit, we continue to fight against non-communicable diseases.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
I love the freedom when I'm out there. Simply put, the worries from shore, none of that out there. And it's my daily bread. I learned it from my dad. My dad is one of the senior guys here who catch the biggest fish around here. And he's top with the red snappers. It's a family thing. I'm the only one fishing right now in the family. Just keeping it going. I enjoy bringing them up, man. Sometimes you have a yellowfin tuna, 400 pounds. Man, let me tell you, that's just a joy out there. I enjoy going out there and just holding the big fish. I don't lift weights, I lift fish. The morning of my fishing trip, I would get up, make a little spiced tea. Then I come down here. I have my GPS, which most fishermen are supposed to have that. Normally I prepare the day before, because whenever you're going out there, you must have ice. Ice is a must for preservation of the fish. So I always make sure I have everything the day before. My fish represents me, and I bring good quality fish ashore simply because the restaurants themselves, they have to show a quality product. Tourism and agriculture go hand in hand. That's what I think. We're all connected. It's like a big machine, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. My name is Brandon Carlisle, and tourism is my business.
Welcome back. Minister with responsibility for energy, Dr. the Honorable Vince Henderson, says geothermal energy has been his main pursuit over the last 20 years. The minister says he's looking forward to the actual construction for the 10-megawatt power plant. Negotiations with the developer was due to be completed in a matter of weeks, making way for the start of construction. He says they have made great progress in those negotiations and expects to move quickly to construct the power plant.
The next step has to be to fully maximize the potential here and to start talking about the export of power. So first, shutting down every diesel generator in Dominica, taking the grind of making the investment for transmission lines all the way to the north of Dominica, being able to power our new international airport, being able to power the new hotels that are being built on the west coast, and we expect in the northeast. We have to be determined as a country that this is one of the most important projects of our time, and we have to push it for the future generations of Dominicans.
The minister believes expansion of this project will provide Dominica the opportunity to go beyond geothermal energy to export other natural products.
We are prepared to move forward, to look at the expansion of this project so that we can start exporting power, producing green hydrogen and ammonia. There are countries that are producing with solar power. We have the great fortune of having geothermal potential that could allow us to create an entire new industry with the generation of hydrogen and production of hydrogen and ammonia. So we have to be prepared as a country to look at our development, and this could be the basis of a green revolution in Dominica.
He says building industries on clean, cheap and reliable power are what's needed to industrialize a country.
We hope to see more of the UK in the future in geothermal, because it would be a shame for us to have this tremendous resource and not be able to fully utilize it. We are seeing here, and you heard the expert from GRG, it's not me saying that, at 25% we are already seeing 4 megawatts potential of power. This means that if we were to go even extrapolating and taking minusing, we have another 10 megawatts at least right here in this well. And we have already 10 megawatts lower down at the first production well site. But we are only going to build a 10 megawatt plant in the first instance. So that Dominica needs to, as a national project, decide to move forward with expanding geothermal in the immediate future.
The United Kingdom is looking forward to realizing the next phase of Dominica's geothermal development project. UK's Climate and Environment Attaché for the Caribbean, Alex Grosny, was in Dominica recently, touring the just completed second geothermal production well in Loda. The accomplishment marked the end of Phase 1 of the geothermal project. The UK has proven to be a key partner in Dominica's geothermal exploration.
So, through a World Bank Trust Fund, the UK has committed £8.5 million to this project. Despite the high upfront costs of geothermal exploration, we recognise the transformational potential of such projects for small island economies. The UK government made a commitment at COP26 in Glasgow to spend £11.6 billion of international climate finance by 2026. to help developing countries mitigate, respond, and adapt to the challenges of climate change.
Mr. Grosny says one of the world stage of the UK is championing the cause of the small island developing states.
In particular, by trying to secure increased and easier to access finance for climate vulnerable states and supporting efforts for disaster risk mitigation tools in climate finance. We very much look forward to seeing the next stage of this project, working on transmission lines and substation upgrades and the power plant itself, and to seeing the people of Dominica reap the benefits of homegrown renewable power generation. The Caribbean has a huge potential from renewable energy, from geothermal to solar to offshore wind, and this journey is only just the beginning.
Minister for the Environment, the Honorable Kozia Frederick, says the establishment of a geothermal power plant in Dominica will serve as a launching pad for other major development infrastructures in the country.
Once we have energy security on the island, we can push forward in many fronts. We speak to building a new international airport. We speak to developing our tourism product, developing our tongues. And so it's an exciting time for us to be in government. And it's an exciting time to show our commitment to the Dominican people that we are indeed placing our best foot forward in terms of building a climate resilient country and making a more dynamic space for future generations. It is also important to note that, that within the constructs of the geothermal sector, I understand it to be a very progressive movement. It's one that is in line with dealing with nature, and how do we move away from carbon emissions and affecting the environment in a negative way by creating a massive carbon footprint. So geothermal itself is the response, a positive response to dealing with the environmental issues that face the world.
Dr. The Honorable Vince Henderson, who is the Minister with responsibility for energy, acknowledges the role of the UK government has played in Dominica's geothermal exploration. The Minister says the UK has been a steadfast partner.
Even during the days when the project seemed like it had many challenges, the UK still stood with us. We were worried at some point that we would have lost the £8.5 million because we had some challenges after Hurricane Maria. When we went to market, we went to tender, we had some challenges because after the devastation of Hurricane Maria, the private companies got spooked. They were scared to do this project in the Roseau Valley because they thought there were too many risks associated. And the project was way over budget and we could not proceed. But the UK stood with us. And so the government of the United Kingdom is not only talking the talk about climate, fighting the impact of climate change or global warming in that case, keeping temperatures at 1.5 degrees Celsius or below, but they are walking the walk.
The Ministry of Culture, Youth, Sports and Community Development through the Cooperative Division in collaboration with the International Labour Organization has hosted a stakeholder consultation aimed at improving the policies of Dominica's Cooperative Division. This stakeholder consultation was the result of technical assistance from the International Labour Organization in a bid to strengthen the country's cooperative sector by making recommendations for improvement in the policy framework. A team of consultants visited Dominica in February, interacting with a wide range of stakeholders in the sector, including 3 credit unions, 15 non-financial cooperatives, the Credit Union League, the Financial Regulator, and the Cooperative Development Division. Following these meetings, a consultation was held on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, at the Goodwill Parish Hall to present and validate their findings and recommendations. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Culture, Youth, Sports and Community Development, Mr. Lucien Blackmore, told participants that their engagement in the consultation was important if government is to create a relevant policy framework.
For you to be effective, you have to basically know what you should be doing. So doing the right thing is being effective. And I'm a very serious believer of that. Because we're here rethinking or developing policy for cooperative because we want to revamp the cooperative industry. And to do that, we want to be productive, or we want to ensure productivity is our #1 agenda. And going forward for you, productivity is two simple factors or two factors in an equation. One is efficiency, and the next one is effectiveness.
Mr. Blackmore stated the new policy framework should be efficient and effective in order to boost productivity.
If you do not ensure that your policy is relevant, you may have systems and processes that are very efficient, but yet still ineffective. So if you're thinking of doing an exam and you get half right is like half wrong, you know, it's not right. So you're just about 50%. So both part of the equation is very important. So your part today is ensuring that the right things are being done. So you could well understand and appreciate the significance of your participation today. Is ensuring that at the end of the day, whatever is endorsed, I would say on the back end of the ministry, would be something that was bought in, something that you owned, and we may say so at the grassroots level, or we may say a bottom-up approach to things. So it's all meant to be a very inclusive process. And for the process to be inclusive, it means, therefore, we have to have very active interaction.
He further urged the stakeholders to take consultations such as these seriously, as it is required to create a policy framework that will benefit Dominica.
I really want to urge you to take this consultative process very seriously. It is you making your contribution for what the policy framework should be for Dominica. Where is it we want to see the industry going? So at the end of the day, we can put in all the necessary prerequisites and supporting mechanisms for ensuring the process is very rewarded at the end of the day. Going forward as well, I really want to ensure that we look at the cooperative industry as a very significant player in the productive sector in Dominica. And it shouldn't be left for the imagination. It's something that I think I can go even boldly and say that the cooperative industry is endemic to our fusion of things in Dominica.
And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I'm Malia Martin. Thanks for watching.